Good evening, free enterprise fans. Boy, oh boy, we've got more free enterprise, more racing. We've got Rhybon, the Pink Puff Season 1 winner, versus McBain. In the booth today with me, we have Vatasia, we have Psychonaut being the restreamer, and Arusta doing the tracking. How you doing there, Vatasia?
So far so good. Into the bracket stages. First week of brackets. It's really been exciting to see some of these races and seeing a lot of the differences between the group stages and the brackets. We have ourselves a telestart with some interesting objectives up to this point in time. We're kind of spread out all over the place, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, we gotta, wake up that Yang to give back to Pan so she can finish dinner. Burn Mist Village, Tower of Zot, Sand Ruby, Baron Castle. Can we call this a character percent?
I think so, because we're going to be able to check kind of all the characters. Not going to be able to see, of course, there is no Cecil and there is no Fusoya in this particular flag set now that we've moved on to the brackets. But seeing both the package and the Sand Ruby is interesting. Those are usually two key items that are, for lack of a better term, dead ends. They can't block anything behind them. So when you check it, you get your character, and that's kind of it. So it will be really interesting to see because those can be anywhere.
Oh yeah, and
Absolutely anywhere.
you have to be careful when you decide to trigger them, because if you trigger the package before doing Sand Ruby, you have to go through an extra fight or like gauntlet, and you're really kicking yourself for not waiting to turn that package in.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we have Defeat the Queen, which is our seventh objective there. We're all over the place. Only one objective that's really locked behind, as far as we know, you know, we know is going to be locked behind the Darkness Crystal. So, and we roll with a Tellus start as we go here. He's kind of an interesting early game character, along with our everyone's favorite child, Rydia. And we also have an Adamant start. Okay.
I mean, okay. I mean, we've got an Anchor and Anchor Plus. I mean, we've got some options here. We could leave
We
Rhea
do.
down as the anchor, or we could leave Tella as the anchor. I think it all depends what we get for our future key items, and future characters. There may be a world where you just get your other two characters, you find an early darkness, you grind, go to the moon, and come back down to Earth.
It's
Like, I
possible.
know it's a strange play, but this party's starting out that way.
No, I mean that would be perfectly logical. You do want to see kind of what else we'll end up finding so far, but yeah, so far so good with this Tella start. I always like seeing an early Tella. He's called the Exit Mage for a reason. Not a key item, but an interesting item in that Tiara makes Rydia a little bit more appealing. That's kind of best in slot equipment for her. Really ups her magic, and it's great defensively as well.
Yeah, if we can find like an early Sylph or Leviathan. Speaking of Sylph, I think Rydia may actually be getting some levels, but yeah, I have it on the other hand of when you cast Sylph, it's 30 seconds of animation.
It is something you have to be consciously aware of, absolutely. But other than that, Exit Mage doing his thing. I see some folks in chat, Berserk now mentioning Watery Pass is also kind of a fantastic place to go to. It's more difficult to do Watery Pass if you don't have Tella, just because a lot of the treasures are more dense the deeper into that particular cave. So, but having Tella kind of makes it more appealing, all things said. So we do see
Yeah,
Rhybon heading right over there.
maybe get some other tier 5s for items, it's a good spot to get some GA items. I don't see going all the way through, but at least into the waterfall is usually pretty common with Exit. We can see who's on Hobbs here. What nightmare awaits us? Well, okay.
I'll take that. I'll take that every day of the week.
Yep. Now we just need to find a good sword for him. I mean, Rhybon finds a ninja dart in the Watery Pass. And meanwhile, McBain just going, I'm going to dart a Drain Sword. Just not a bad dart early on.
No, absolutely not. Between that and the ice one that Tella is going to cast, this is going to be over very quickly. Rhybon picking up some decent loot. I saw a Lilith Rod there, which is fantastic for an early Rydia, and a full moon. You think Edge would like that a little bit?
Yeah, I think Edge would definitely like that. That is some high roll in there. Free Silk Web in that chest just beyond the boss for Hobbs. So don't have to go shopping for one of those. That's a pretty common item to buy for prepping for the end game. Door so nice, you had to go through it twice. Well, okay. And a Dancing Dagger? Who put all this good stuff in the Watery Pass?
I mean, that's the nature of the Watery Pass. I do believe there can be some pretty decent loot in the Watery Pass. That again, the trick has always been it's a little bit spread out. It's not quite as dense as some of the other popular locations like Eblin Castle, but you also don't have to worry about any trap chests as well. So you can just kind of set it and forget it relative. McBain, in the meanwhile, is doing something interesting. He's skipping kind of the traditional play into Antlion Cave early and saying, anything I can skip, I am going to. And going right over here to Fabul Castle right out the gate.
I can understand skipping out on Antlion, because if you don't have exit, it's a long walk back out, but we've got exit. We could easily just walk right back out. But apparently Rhybon found a heroin robe we missed. So Rita's going to be hitting some things.
Just
Maybe.
How deep? There was everything located in that Watery Pass, apparently. And then he gets the perfect compliment with his edge.
In Full Moon Dancing Dagger with a Strength Ring, I mean, all you need at that point is maybe a black belt. You're happy?
And
Boreas
of course,
one-shots.
Yeah, he one-shots using a Boreas, which is a perfect time to use that. McBain does get through as well, so we'll see what the Defend Fabul spot ends up having for us.
Yeah, sometimes you have to double dip it, but it's packaged, so it is required to do, but not a progressive key item. So, fading that for a while is not necessarily going to hurt anybody. Looting the back of Hobbs here finds some samurai arrows.
I think this is going to be a very interesting play for both McBain and Rhybon, because this is a decision you have to make right now. Because we have to do both the package and the Sand Ruby, and you alluded to it earlier, turning the package in right now means that when we do go to turn in the Sand Ruby, if we're not already going to do the character check, if we're fine with what our party is right now, it will kind of force us into that double cutscene scenario there in Kaipo. If you're hoping to go as fast as you can and just pick up party members as you go and aren't worried about what the character is at package, then you kind of want to do that last so you can avoid that extra cutscene with a boss fight that normally isn't terribly bad, but it's just a really long cutscene there.
Yeah, and it all depends on what boss is there. I mean, you stick something like Golbez or Gauntlet there, it's even longer of a check. Both runners going into Antlion here, doing a little bit of looting along the way. Not finding too much, but a big bomb, not a bad thing to find.
No, I'll take all the early J items, absolutely.
Well, I mean, before we found the Edge, give me all those level 2 J items, because this party really needs it. But Edge in our party, we really don't need it.
Fair. We'll use those for kind of that secondary sweepers whenever we need it. But we have Bahamut, and interesting party setup. We have the Full Moon and Dancing Dagger on Rhybon's side, but we have a regular Boomerang and a Mute Dagger on McBain's side. So I think the Full Moon is going to outpace it a little bit, but otherwise it's still a great combination. And there's a tower key for both of them.
The Mute Knife has about the same attack power as a Longsword for Edge, but also has the Mage Mashing effect on it. So McBain's going to be just shredding through any mages like Azura or Baron Guards, whereas Rhybon may have a few issues here and there, but if they're early on, we could tell online. We could at least stone the Baron guards. Azura wouldn't be too much of a problem. Looks like McBain's going to be going to Ordeals, get all of Tella's spells here. Mute Dagger was in Fabul weapon shop.
Absolutely. I do like, we see Rhybon the only difference between what Rhybon and McBain has done up to this point in time, Rhybon has done some more looting in the Watery Pass, while McBain has just kind of not done any dedicated looting. He's just kind of picked a few things up here and there, and that's it. He's just kind of rolling with what he finds along the way and what he picks up in the shop, which is a gutsy strategy, especially early on. Not dedicating any time, but at the same time, you have an edge who can do a lot of that heavy lifting for you, so you don't need it.
Right. But also giving that extra gear to an edge to make the fights faster, Rhybon doing the extra looting may catch up some time here and maybe pass.
I want to address something while we're going through these fights here that Pepita is saying in chat. Packages and objectives, so avoiding the cutscene is not an option. Here's the trick, though. The objective is just to burn down the village. The objective is not to get the character once you go to Kaipo. And that's really the difference here. We all are going to have to wait through the burning down the village mist cutscene. It's whether or not we can dodge the cutscene where we're going in, because as soon as we enter Kaipo, that triggers. We're going right to the end, and that takes precedent over trying to do the Sand Ruby as well.
Yep, that's the cutscene because package is a 2 cutscene item. Now, if there's something like a secondary edge at package, I can definitely see just grab the package character, do the fight, don't care, double edge, let's go.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's an honest question. Is it worth a check and then noping out of the cutscene if it's not someone that's worth the wait right now?
You know, to be honest, I think that's at least with this party that we have right now, if it's a character that our runners want to keep, I can definitely see taking the character and going through the fight in Kaipo. Hey, we get the kick around the world here on McBain's side.
You know, this Young appears here far too often. Like, we know this is a neat little glitch that happens here just because it's free enterprise and we love to break things, but I've seen this way too many times and way too many seeds on this channel for it to not be a coincidence. Where's Scala? I think we broke everything.
To answer the question from chat, Uber, me personally, I would take a second edge. If I was showing a second edge guaranteed, I'd take them. Anybody else? I'm not too worried about.
No, I think everyone else where I'm fine with this particular party right now. You have a magic caster, you have your melee, you can kind of bank on getting anyone else you might need along the way. Like second edge is about all I can see.
Right, because we're eventually going to maybe find some darts for them later on, or as we upgrade one edge with equipment, we can just get hand-me-down to the other one. Usually you don't want to cast a summon on Paled In, but if it's a killing blow, it doesn't really matter. You don't get the counterquake.
Meanwhile, McBain showing us what this key item is, and it is moving hook. Okay.
Well, I mean, that gives us a nice gated shop, guaranteed 2 tier 5, so could be a Leviathan in that shop down there, or maybe our Sirens and Coffins. Is it our underground access? The only thing left we have to do is Baron in.
I think it'd be interesting to... I mean, I think you want to at least check Baron in, especially with the party that we have right now. That said, there's a character check in Cave Eblin. Honestly, the loot in Cave Eblin is really pretty nice as well. So we've seen McBain dodge all looting up to this point in time, maybe holding out for those higher tiered locations like Cave Eblin as well. So I could see making a play direct for Cave Eblin right now if you feel like you have to.
I could see that too. I mean, the other option is, with the tier fives that are in Eblin, if Hourglass twos are in there, depending on what the hook boss is, if it's going to be something like, I don't know, Ogo Pogo at Ruby or Baigan even, I could see if there's Hourglass twos, getting a couple Hourglasses and taking some Trap Chest in Castle Eblin. Get some extra levels, depending on who the rest of the party is.
Yeah, I think at that point you're really starting to question your party at that point in time. So it does look like McBain is going to continue and just picking up just a handful of treasures here and there, and we have ourselves a Porum with a really kind of awkwardly placed Dark Knight Cecil here. You'd like him to be somewhere where you could kind of maneuver your way into surviving in what would otherwise be a difficult spot because of his script. There, it's just kind of eh.
I mean, at least it's not doing 1200 damage every Dark Wave.
You're right. There are much worse spots for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got a good old Demist here at the second. I mean, we've got Sylph, we've got Virus, and this Demist is not long for this place. Already is going to say, "Hey, look, Mom, look how strong I've become."
Hey, Mom, I'm a big kid now.
That's what I think is funny. Whenever I have Rydia in my part and I'm facing against Demist, it's like, yes, Rydia gets to show off how powerful she is now. Look at all the summons I can do.
Anyway, McBain moves through that very quickly, though. Rydia doing quite a bit of work, and that's probably the most opportune place you can possibly pick that up. Baron Key right here. I mean, you got to go ahead and take it, right?
Yeah, you take it. You check the weapon shop. Maybe find, if you've got enough stuff to sell enough for a ninja sword at least. I mean, it's 66,000, but the extra stats on it and just the attack power on it for Edge, at least on McBain's side, would definitely increase the power. Buy some meat arrows.
Yeah, I think chat is pointing out that, remember, we started out with CPU giving us the key item. So you have to stop and consider, like, okay, how difficult would a CPU fight at that Baigan spot be? I think Edge is still able to carry us right now, but we're getting close to kind of the edge of him doing all the workload. We're going to need the rest of the party to start lifting a little bit. Tella and Rydia have been doing all right, but we, remember, just now have a brand new, fresh level 10 Porum to help out as well.
Yeah, but we've also got Rydia with Sylph. That's our healing for that fight. It does 10% per Mazer, but you have Edge target the back one, or even like the Remedy orb, and just have Rydia spam Sylph on the big CPU orb. Maybe get through that in 2 rounds, depending on the rolls for Sylph.
It's true. I mean, that we have a decent rod, and then we have the tiara, which really, I mean, that's all you really need for Rydia, and it's doing quite a bit of damage already.
Yeah, I think on McBain's side I saw it doing 1200 to Demist.
All right, so McBain on that, and Rhybon showing us that Asura there is located in the item shop. Heck, I'm taking Asura and I'm dumping Porum at this point. Superior white mage strategy.
I can see that Porum, but I can also see keeping Porum alive, because she's someone who gets more health than the Tella, a little bit faster, has some more armor options, so has more survivability to cast that Zerk we all love. And you can stick the Heroine Robe on that Porum, and then all of a sudden, okay, I'm going to take hits all day long and dish out a Berserk.
Alright, so yeah, Sylph working his way through. Rhybon playing a little bit of catch up. Remember, right now, about the only difference between Rhybon and McBain is that Rhybon did a little bit of looting there in the Watery Pass, and that's it. Like otherwise, these two runners have been walking on each other's heels the entire time, uh, and it's just a little bit of looting that Rhybon did. McBain has done almost no looting
Yeah, it
whatsoever,
was
and he's
it was
still getting
Watery
through.
Pass in the back of Hobbs were the two major places that Rhybon looted differently than McBain, and that's where you got the full moon from. And the heroin robes for free. So definitely got to save some money there, even though they are for sale in Baron, but it's a big chunk of change to buy those.
Yeah, I tend to like at least Rybon's setup with his equipment a little bit nicer, but uh, McBain is not showing any signs of slowing up. So McBain is putting on a bit of a clinic for those folks like me who worry about needing to get looting done early. Here we are almost 20 minutes in, and it's not slowed McBain up at all. And there's those guards we were talking about where the mute knife is going to do a little bit of work.
Oh yeah. Center slot, mute knife in the back row. Well, didn't one shot it, but still silenced, so nobody got sized.
Porum took a hit though, so Porum will not be gaining all this experience. That's a bit of a blow because we're starting to worry about levels trying to get into the underground if the hook is indeed our route. Oh, hello, twin.
Hi, Palom. Do we take the Palom? I don't know. I mean, it's a decent mage party. Ditching the Rydia.
That's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it plays out here.
I mean, Palom does get quick a lot earlier than Rydia. I think it all depends what's in that Evelyn shop, because if Leviathan's there, that can get you through the hook route really easily.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm curious about as well. Like, what's there? A Leviathan. I mean, Sylph has been carrying you. I think right now this also commits you to Porum. Well, there's our Sand Ruby. So, hey, let's just knock these out right now.
Yeah, Sand Ruby into package check. Yep, okay. Don't have to worry about misplaying those. Right, I'm doing some extra looting here in Baron. I mean, it's another gated location. Maybe hoping to spike some extra gear for the edge. Help, found a Thunderclaw, even though we bought one.
Meanwhile, McBain showing us there's a Rosa. We have 2 scoops of vanilla right now, and yeah, Porum is gone. We're gonna take the superior white mage.
I mean, you give Rosa that, bow and arrow, heroin robe, and Boza is online. There's your 2 physical fighters for at least early game right there.
And we're going to immediately turn in and at least burn down the village mist. We're not going to be terribly worried about what happens after the fact. Do a little bit of looting while we're here.
Yeah, I mean, Ogre Axe, that sells for quite a bit, even though this party can't use it. And another Rosa. We've heard you like white mages, so we're going to give you a Porum. But wait, we're going to give you the Sandry right after and give you a Rosa.
So
but wait, there's more. Another Rosa package.
We are definitely not white mage deficient, for sure.
No.
The seed heard.
White mage party.
The seed heard that I said Rydia was a superior white mage, and it went, "Oh, really? Is that how you feel?"
And this is one of those fights where you have the fast anchor, and you're just like, please take the turn already. Do the quake. Palom getting knocked out there. It doesn't really matter. No experience in this spot at all. Meant to lose it. The question comes to be, do our runners actually check the Odin throne before diving down that hook. It's
I
not
think you gotta
logical
peek it.
underground access, but depending on what's there, if it's like water hag, it's a free
Yeah,
fight.
I think you gotta peek it. I absolutely think you gotta peek it. Um, what I might even end up doing is going and checking the item shop over at Eblin Cave, and if I get hourglasses, coming back because then any of the free stuff I'll be able to hourglass and make free-ish.
Yeah, I mean, there's a play for that. But again, we haven't seen what's in the upland shop yet.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a risky play, but one that you can take into consideration depending on what's in that shop.
Yeah, not much in the Kaipo shop here for weaponry. But clearing out the inventory does not want to get hit with that inventory boss. 'Cause that's the worst boss of all.
It is. Many runners have fallen to that.
Oh, I know I have. I've been trying to get better though. And Rhybon as well. Ditching Porum for Rosa. At least it was early on. It's not like we had Porum halfway through the seed and then we get Rosa. Because that's a really hard choice.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's still early on. We haven't even gone into the underground. And it does look like McBain is doing his first kind of dedicated looting in cave or in Castle Eblin right now.
Rhybon picking up 5 Thor Rages. Probably a little bit of a safety here in case there's a nasty Kane Nazo. You like to see them in shops. There's a few things that a lot of runners pick up in shops. You see heal potions, you pick up 10. You see Thor Rages, you pick up 5 at least. They're cheap, and it's boss protection.
Oh, absolutely. I get that every time. And Rhybon being a little bit more thorough, I do see a cursed ring here in this shop that's in the Village Mist. That might be an interesting pickup that McBain has not gotten yet.
Yeah, and that makes me wonder if we keep Tella or if we just ditch Tella and keep the Rydia. Rydia having more use with the summons, not really based on any of her stats, especially like Azura, not stat based. So it can put the curse ring on and still full heal the party. But what do the mad ogres here have to say? McBain casting stop on the mad ogres, not trying to go for a center slot stone.
Nope, casting stop one at a time. It's a little bit more consistent, I think, and I tend to like it. Keeping Rydia down or Rosa down, or just did not expect to one-shot it. Oh, okay, so Palom is important to get the levels on, obviously, because we want to get up to Quake as we're going through the underground. And a Heroin Robe.
Well, there's a Heroin Robe, so Rosa should be able to take a stronger hit now. So, hopefully she can survive a hit. Her Cure Ones are not doing too much, but you don't need to with the amount of HP on our party right now. So, Vatasia, as we know so far, the logical underground access is through the hook route. Who are you hoping to be at the King Queen spot into Ruby? How nice or mean do you want to be?
Oh, I'm not nice at all. I got eliminated from this tournament a while ago, so I'm not looking for any sort of nice. So let's see, how mean can we go? At Ruby, everyone's favorite is Kenyatta. I love seeing him there. But you're right, at the King and Queen spot, it can be very interesting. I'm kind of leaning towards an Ogo Pogo. I want to see someone who really scares the party just right away. That's not a bad spot for it either.
Yeah, I like a Baigan there at King Queen. That's also another one that's kind of just really fast and hits kind of hard. A Dragon Whip and another Tiara here in the cave. Good. Ooh, and a free coffin. That's a free instant death on something. And some sirens. And elixirs.
I mean, elixirs and sirens, that seems good to me. I'll gladly take some sirens after a little bit. Not what you necessarily want to be seeing, but okay.
Especially here, you don't want to see the sirens here because it's such a hard place to get back to. But I mean, with
Yeah.
Dragon Whip, Heroin Rope, Iridia, eggs could very well easily be on the table.
Oh, absolutely. Um, Meanwhile, McBain is continuing his looting over here in Castle Eblin. Looks like Rhybon has decided, yeah, we don't have any hourglasses, but I still need to get some levels here. So I can understand it. I love it. McBain has slowly worked his way through Castle Eblin as well. Did pick up a couple items in Cave Eblin. Only difference in the party is Iridia over a Palom, right?
Yeah, so if we find any orbs in here, like Leviathan, Trap Chest, I don't know if we can find Bahamut in a Trap Chest here, just because it is a T-Pro. But finding a long sword and a light sword, well, light sword sells for a bit, or is a decent dart.
That's actually the second light sword that we've seen. McBain was interested. He started on the right side and kind of worked his way to the left. Meanwhile, Rhybon is starting on the left and working his way right, which is a more efficient way if you're trying to clear it all out in one go. McBain did it in kind of a safe way, so he got that right side and then safety saved outside. So both are relatively quick.
McBain heading down into Cave Ablano. We'll maybe get to see who the character is down here. We have a cursed ring. Do we really? I mean, who would we trade out at this point in our party? I mean, I would think on McBain's side, it's really hard to say because we did go into Castle Eblin to get levels on our Palom. So it kind of hurts to do that. To just go, oh yeah, I got you list of levels. Oh, but I found somebody that's better for my party. I'm sorry.
Here's what I'm thinking right now, because I see those sirens and I think, okay, I have my grind once I get to the underground. Any possible use that I have for Tella right now is kind of out the door, unless I'm planning on keeping him for the entire game as my anchor. So that defense sword looks awful nice to me if I happen to find a cane on my way underground. So I would, and I'm not thinking about endgame party quite yet, but a defense sword cane can do quite a bit of work here in this mid game. I think I'd be tempted to switch him out there.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to say. I mean, at least on Rhybon's side, we do have the curse string, so our anchor is the curse string at this point. Iridia could be our anchor, Palom, anybody. So trading out Tella for Kane on at least on Rhybon's side, definitely a huge option. McBain's side not having a curse string, you kind of have to always think, at least for me, think ahead of the next fights that I'm going to have to do. Do I want to be fast anchored? Do I want to be slow anchored? You know, sometimes having that slow person in your party, you kind of need it sometimes for a sneaky wyvern.
Ugh. Ugh. Ugh.
Well, we don't have a spoon. We don't have an adamant armor yet. So, sorry, Edward. You're going to Mysidia. I mean, if I had an adamant armor and found the spoon, I'd keep them right now. Like by Palom, you were on the party.
Oh, absolutely. Spoonward will be the highest attack power character available in the entire game if we happen to have Edward and the spoon. But until then, no thank you.
We're going here through the extra loot and I'm seeing a black belt for the Edge now, so Edge getting some extra power here. Low rolling on that first one for the Mad Ogres. Has a rune ring on, so not too scared of these Mad Ogres. on right on side. Is actually doing half damage because in brackets the back row glitch is turned off. So what is the back row glitch, Vatasia?
Oh my, the back row glitch. Something that I think every free enterprise person, speedrunner, has been taught from the very beginning. So having it turned off is unusual, we'll say the least. The back row glitch is simply thus. Typically, you know, characters who are in the front row do their full damage, and if they're in the back row, unless they have a special weapon, they do half damage. Now, that special weapon is any sort of ranged weapon. A bow, a boomerang, a harp in some cases, and even the dwarf axe, oddly enough. Here's the trick, though. All you have to do is equip a weapon that gives you full damage in the back row, and then you can unequip it, and that little bit that says, hey, I'm doing full damage in the back row never turns off. Because coding in the early 90s for the Super Nintendo was flawless. And it looks like McBain did also pick up his curse string, so ends up getting bailed out a little bit by that randomization, not having to do any more hunting for it.
Yeah, I get it from the format ogre chest. I did an Odin orb. Good money there.
Oh, and to address a question in chat by Detain, you aren't forced to take a 5th member anymore? Nope, not in this flag set. In fact, that's one of the features of this Adamant Cup, is that you are restricted to only 4 characters. You cannot have a 5th character, which has led to some interesting strats. You know, when you had 5 characters, it became very popular to have a dedicated anchor that you just kind of keep dead the entire time. And the challenge was making sure that that character did not gain any levels, just so you can keep them on the floor and control it. With only 4 characters, that becomes much more difficult to do. So,
Defense sword being sold, I think Rhybon is going to be selling a bunch of stuff here. Got some Bacchus from stealing, so has 4 of them. Could be buying a few sirens here. I mean, 12, pretty good number. I think there's already arrows found, so I mean, we've got already arrows for Rosa to shoot at eggs. We've got Dragon Whip on the other side for our Rydia. So I mean, eggs are gonna go by fast. Especially here with the Dark Elf. Paladin being turned to a pig. Not able to get the virus cast off. Feels bad.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Luckily, there's not a ton of damage being pushed out. It's a relatively low magic damage spot.
Yeah, because it's just a king queen here. It's got high physical, but not that high magic. So McBain here casting the week because yes, Dark Elf is a boss, but when he transforms into a dragon, he loses the boss bit, so you can stop him, weak him, so you can one-shot him. Again, coding back in the 90s was interesting, as we can say.
They had to take a lot of shortcuts. They had to get very creative sometimes. So certainly don't fault them, because they were doing the best they could, I think, under the circumstances.
Right, that's where it comes. They didn't call them bugs back then. No, they called them features. Right? At least that's what I've always heard, and since I am a programming major.
In the meantime, so McBain does come back and said, hey, let's take the safety save. I don't necessarily blame him. This is going to be an interesting Mylan fight. I don't know if we even got a clue if it's Mylan and Friends or Mylan Z.
It's Mylan and Friends.
Oh, it's Friends? Ooh.
Yes, we've seen Mylan Z already.
Okay. Well, Mylan and Friends here is not going to be too bad, I don't think.
No. One flame or some, Fire 3. virus cast. I mean, you could even, at least on Rhybon's side, get a little spicy if you had the Odin, just cast Odin and, you know, just get rid of all the sprites and have an invisible Mylon. That's
Well,
always
here's
fun
something
to see.
interesting. McBain is taking the approach. He's not flaming them all. He's actually zerked up his Edge and zerked up his Rosa, and just said, "Hey, we're gonna melee this down." I'm not. I mean, I think it's because he's just trying to, minimize the number of lit counters that ends up happening. Because even lit ones here at this particular magic spot can whittle you down very quickly. This is a very large health pool right here.
With the equipment that we've at least found, I mean, I want to say that on McBain's side, Rosa is wearing the tiara, which, if I remember correctly, gives you lightning resistance. So lit one not going to be doing too much damage to her in general. Unfortunately, Palom not lucky enough to be able to be pretty enough to wear a tiara, as we all wish he could. But you got to be worrying some. I mean, this is a spot where you kill Mylon first. You hope that the gas are soon to follow.
And it seems like we're set up reasonably well. We did get a bluff in on Palom, so those viruses are doing quite a bit of damage. And at this point, McBain is has this fight well in hand. Just waiting for the Zerkers to eventually take out the Ghasts. Meanwhile, Rhybon, right on his tail at this point, is on the Dark Dragon fight. I got to imagine. I wonder if Rhybon's going to take the safety save as well.
You know, I don't know. I mean, you know it's Mylon and friends. You got an easy way through it. It's not like it's Ogopogo. You don't know what sparkle it could be here. If you know you can get through the fight with relative ease, why not do it? Casting Blitz with Edge.
Yeah, that I think that was a misclick. I don't know any reason not to cast Flame over Blitz, unless you're swagging a little bit.
Well, I mean, I think Blitz itself is a faster animation than Flame. In a general sense, it's better to cast Blitz, but you also want to hit the fire weakness here on the Ghasts. Chat mentioning that Diamond Rings, also some of the lower tier gear you don't think about ever equipping for just its side effects of wearing it. I mean, you've got all the diamond gear that gives you the lightning resistance, rings included. The ruby ring, which gives you piggy resistance. Sometimes knowing just what the gear does extra can also help you get through a fight a little bit easier.
Meanwhile, McBain gets through the Mylon fight. So very clean fight. His Tela does go down. But Quake Kid learning Quake. And he is through. First one to the underground at 41 minutes. So talk to me, Tibble. What are you feeling right now if you're in this seed? 41 minutes, not bad to getting to the underground when you have this particular kind of seed, but not as quick as you normally can as well at the same time.
I mean, at an average time, I mean, 41 minutes, I mean, you normally see underground times at 35 to 50 minutes on average. So, I mean, I feel pretty good. I can definitely see we have Tower Key. We just saw that it was Azura there at top of tower. I've got a Mute Knife. I'm dropping the airship and going straight up the tower. I get 2 key item locations, 1 easy boss at the tower, the super cannon room, and then top of tower with the Azura.
McBain showed us what that boss was, but it was so quick that I actually missed it as well. So we saw what boss was at the top of the tower. I hope anyone in chat can help us out. But
it was Azura.
Oh, it was Azura? Oh,
yeah.
Even better because we have Mute Knives. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I said I go straight up to go up and take that Azura because I've got a Mute Knife. I'm going to clear out this tower. 2 key items, 2 bosses. I'm taking it out. and then decide from there where I'm gonna go. If I've got the pan, I'm gonna go Bonk Yang. If I don't, I'm gonna go to Dwarf, maybe get some extra levels, and then kind of decide there. We do have to do the Queen spot down at Feymarch. May want to pop some Sirens to get some extra levels on this party to make sure, single dip Feymarch.
All right,
There's a
so
bunch of different options here.
no, absolutely, and I think where you go really depends on what key items you get right now. I'm probably trying to avoid doing much of anything or leaving the underground until I at least have the pan, if I could possibly dodge it. Like if we get nothing out of these two checks, I might even check like Dwarf Castle before I start making some of those other checks. Just hoping to get another key item like the pan. It's also some decent experience as well.
I mean, also looking for both Darkness and Earth Crystal. I mean, I'm more, since we only got one objective on the moon, I'm more of let's full clear the Earth before I head to the moon.
Absolutely, and that's been one of the interesting things, and I think we talked about it a little bit at the start, before we went live in this tournament. The old adage used to be always do your freebies. The problem is, I think, when we have so many objectives that we still have to do, going out of your way to do your freebies when there's other checks that you can make that are like on the way, so you're minimizing your flight time and your travel time all over the place. I think it almost ends up being more important to do that and be efficient with your checks rather than always focusing on the freebies that might be there.
Rhybon doing a little bit of divergence, going straight to Dwarf first. Maybe looking to find some Ninja Blades in here for our Ninja. Maybe some Hourglasses.
I mean, hoping for something right now. Coffins
aren't bad. Gets rid of the Ice Claws. We don't have a Ruby out there. Still have the Knazo, so at least still keep it a Thunder Claw. I think the only person that would really get much use out of the double claw strat would be Yang, but this late into the seed, I mean, we're underground. We haven't grinded yet, so we could swap out a character or two. But even like me, I would feel pretty comfortable with this party. Uh-oh.
Okay, so which one is it? Which blue robe?
If I remember correctly, it is going to be the Alt Gauntlet here because...
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, the Jumping Doll is the second sprite in this particular rendition. So if you don't see a sprite at all, it's Antlion because there's the space in between. But if you see a blue robe, it's the Gauntlet. There's a few that you don't see in this particular spot.
Yeah, this is going to be kind of a long, slow grind. But again, if you want a little bit of experience, kind of a nice place to get it right here. Yeah.
I think this Edge still has the Rune Ring on. So Rune Ring, Mute Knife, the gonna be one-shotting with these with the flame. So the Antlion, the answer goes, the Antlion is the pincers. Water Hag, yeah, Water Hag is the blue robe. But like with the Antlion, you have the two pincers. You have a pincer, empty space, pincer. And when the Antlion's there at Dwarf, I don't think I've ever seen the pincer.
I don't think so either, and you're absolutely right. And that's kind of the interesting thing about the Antlion, because it has the two sprites there, just in interesting locations.
It's like how the game actually has the wrong color for Mylon in that location just because of color limitations. But McBain taking out the Super Cannon room, took out the Azure. I did miss what Azure gave us the top tower. Must not have been a key item. I don't see anything on our tracker. Oh, pink tail. Oh, well, pink tail. You know what that means, right? Hello? Is this thing on? Potato?
Yep. Sorry. Sorry, my cat was trying to get in my way. I apologize, everyone. Yeah, Pinktail. Yes, I know exactly what that means.
We get some shiny armor, right?
We do. We get the very best armor in the game, in the Adamant armor. Some have said, I've heard it debated, that the Adamant armor is the most overpowered piece of gear in all of Final Fantasy, which is kind of a bold statement, but also kind of a true statement.
Yeah, and Rhybon here. We have a more vanilla. We have vanilla Golbez and trades out Rydia for a Yang. Well, I mean, we did see Cat Claws for sale. And Yang does not really need that much gear. He just needs levels to really get powerful. That's why I call him the Punch Mage. So that's what, 3 scoops of vanilla?
Yeah, we've had a lot of vanilla in this particular seed. Not, you know what? It's okay. We're not full on ice cream man yet, but we're getting a little bit close here.
Yeah, McBain, going turning in that pink tail, getting the adamant armor. That adamant armor gives you a lot of options to easily get through some nasty fights here or there, but also got, you know, the legend sword from Tower still going to be turning in. We do have the extra flag of Smith Alt. So it's a random tier 7 to tier 8 item. Could get a second advent armor. Or could get, you know, like a crystal sword.
Yeah, we could get something great. We could get something worthless. It really depends right now. Random T7, T8 item this time, plus a really decent shop if we happen to have extra money. That's not a weapon.
No, Moonveil's still really nice though. Also could call shop Stardust Rod, Zeus Gauntlets. I'm happy with that shop. I'll take a Zeus Gauntlet.
Oh, absolutely. After having basically nothing else at this point, yeah. Hey, let's clear it all out. If you're committed at this point, grabs a ribbon, 2 ribbons. Oh, okay.
Ribbon's a really good magic defense. So I mean, it's a bold move. I mean, I would have don't know if I saw him pick up a Zeus Gauntlet or not. Like, giving extra multipliers to Edge is just really good. But looks like he's deciding to go take on some eggs here. So hope you're hungry.
Gonna scramble a few eggs right now. Absolutely. Letting Quake Kid do a lot of the work right here because really you're not able to kind of melee one shot. So letting him do that. Interesting. Bacchus wines, by the way, available in the Tomra shop as well, which is interesting because Rhybon is setting himself up with 2 melee fighters right now. He's got a Yang and now an Edge, or an Edge and now a Yang. So clearly taking that Yang, I think, to set up some melee strats for later. Meanwhile, McBain may not need to rely on those Bacchus wines because he's only got the Edge and otherwise is setting up to be a more magic party.
Yeah, it's almost like a toss-up. Like either A, you buy a ton of sirens to get your mages all the levels they need, or you buy a few sirens and you buy a bunch of Bacchus for your melee team. It's kind of how the way it goes. You kind of swap. Okay, I only buy 5 sirens to get my melee fighters online, and buy 15 Bacchus instead of buying 20 sirens.
And by the way, I see chat saying, I guess I've been saying Yang the wrong. No, like I only say it that way because I heard it in the DS version of the game when in the voice acting. Honestly, I said Yang for like most of my adult life too. It's say it however you want to say it. It's cool.
Yang, Yang. They need potato.
There's something a little bit magical about how all of us know exactly what we're talking about in this era of video games before voice acting. So we had no idea how to pronounce things, and we all learned things a little bit different.
That's all up to interpretation. McBain decided to go straight down into the Fame Arch after checking tower there. No job, dwarf. Bad. Deed not validated. He found a term claw.
All right. Meanwhile, McBain. Okay, that's four scoops
Four
of vanilla.
scoops.
4 scoops of vanilla. Well, this is officially an ice cream man seed.
Okay. I mean, 4. I mean, there's still a chance for a bunch more vanilla there. I mean, we haven't seen Leviathan yet. We haven't seen Odin yet. Ooh, free Sorkro. That's nice. Especially for McBain. Decided to use a heal with Tella and not using a tent or a cabin. Don't think we've really found anything for camping gear in this particular seed.
No,
Ooh.
unfortunately not. Rhybon getting plenty of levels though. I think that was my one worry about the Yang was he requires levels more than gear. Although cat claws I did see were available pretty early, you still are trying to get some gear. And oh, this looks kind of not fun in the underworld.
You know, it all really depends on who that sparkle is. There are some free and not so free ones. Haledim's already out of the pool.
That's
It's an
not one of the free
Ogo-Pogo.
ones.
Well, I mean, okay, actually, you'd be surprised. Stick the Adamant on edge, Zerk up edge, and just blink Rosa. And then just, spam Cure 2 or, pop Cure 2 potions. Edge is going to be your major damage here in this fight for McBain.
So one thing that I'm curious about, because I see some people saying, okay, just pop the Moonveil. Does the Moonveil help us dodge the big waves that do that percentage damage? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Nope.
So I'm like,
The worst thing that you have to worry about here is the physical attack that Ogo-Pogo will do. It's a major thing you have to worry about. You can predict the amount of damage that's going to come from the waves. You just have to worry about those punches. Adamant armor will get you easily through it. Moonveil will make it free for one person to survive the physical hits. It's just a matter of keeping enough people alive. When you've only got 4 people, it can be a little tricky.
okay, I used for that Moonveil. Okay, Moonveil and Levy spot. Okay, I see what you're putting down, Beowulf. Thanks.
Yeah, stick a Thunderclaw on Yang. Stick the Moonveil on him. Pop a Bacchus, and then you can go get something to snack on. Go get a drink.
That said, I you know what? I kind of think that Rhybon's party is set up to be a little bit better for these 2 fights, in part because you can Thunderclaw both Yang and Edge, for that matter, and Zerk him up and just kind of let him go to town at that point. Then all you have to do is worry about healing.
Rhybon, I think, has fully decided on his party at this point. He's not going to be trading anybody out. Grind it up. Going to be one scouting this Fame Arch here. Rat Tail from the freebie, as we know it's vanilla. All depends on what's here. I mean, does Rhybon actually go to the tower? We know there's not really any value there besides, Pink Tail. I don't know. A lot of people like Fade in the tower.
And I don't understand it because I love the tower. And More than that, I love the trap chest in the tower, which can have some fantastic stuff in it.
Tower trap chests are not as highly on the loot table as something like, I believe Sylph is a little bit higher. The Giant of Babel is a little bit higher than those four. But even the Warrior's chest down in here in the Fame Arch is actually higher weighted for better loot.
Yeah, but it's
Just
so
because of how easy those are. Right, but some of them can be way far out of the way. I mean, how much time are you going to spend? How much time are you going to spend on trying to fight an eyeball? I'll see a Rhybon sees here when it pops up to be Ogo Pogo. I mean, has levels, has the HP. Just a matter of getting the Zerks out.
Yeah, I think Rhybon's going to be doing some very, very rough things to Ogopogo here directly. McBain, though, gets through the Octomom fight and is rewarded with his 10th key item. Hey, I'll take it.
Look, we can get underground now. Oh, wait, we're already underground. I mean, the 10th key item, always nice to see, because that means whatever grind you're going to do is already knocked down in half.
Yeah, and I think, while Rhybon certainly took some time to do a grind, and will have an easier time with these fights, that's time that McBain is going to spend half as much time on because he has not done any grind up to this point in time. So, take it for what it's worth right now. How much was that grind worth to Rhybon? Because Rhybon certainly has not done anything in the tower. That Adamant is going to just keep getting helping McBain more and more, but is an Adamant worth all the levels that Rhybon has right now? It's really an interesting strategy between these two right now, and I'm loving how this is playing out.
I mean, you did your objective. I mean, if you get Pan here and you don't want to take that Octomom out, I can see fading that Octomom. It's like Demas there is always a nightmare. Anything that has a physical attack, it's such a hard fight to do there because it hits so hard. But equipping lead arrows on Rosa, that's a sure sign of I'm going to take on this Octomom here.
Yeah, and not even safety saving at this point. I mean, defeated the queen spot and not even safety saying I'm confident in what I can do right now. I'm gonna Zerk up and we're gonna roll. And yeah, this is gonna hurt quite a bit. Trying to get an image off on Edge, doesn't get it off.
Feels a little bad, but if you can get 3 hits out on this Octomom, the one tentacle will go away. Fight gets slower, then 2 more hits, more tentacles go away. So it's just getting enough tentacles down to slow the fight down. Really what you're hoping for.
Yeah, now he's zerked up the 2 characters. I mean, that was probably as bad of a combo as he can get, but Rosa can take a hit sitting in the back row, plus with that tiara. So at this point, it's just kind of letting your Zerkers fly and hoping at this point that you don't have to reset out, because then you have to do the Ogopogo fight all over again.
Yeah, and like Rosa also has the Heroine Rhybon, which is, I guess, say a discount Adamant armor.
It doesn't have
the mass physical that the Adamant armor has, but it's still fairly decent. Meanwhile, McBain going on, taking on the Ogopogo, has just the Rosa and Edge alive right now. Ogo had just a Dragoon helm, so nothing value besides the objective.
And Rhybon's through. Rhybon's first one done with both of the key items in the both the fights in the Fame Arch. No Pan, so I wonder if Rhybon has decided, hey, I'm fading Olive Tower and I'm committing to it. McBain has completely done the tower up to this point in time. I imagine Rhybon will be able to move through fairly quickly, or if he's going to commit and say, "Hey, I guess it's time for my freebies."
Or it's go up the tower as it's, it's a what direction do you go in a circle? Where do you start the circle? McBain decided to start his circle at the tower. Rhybon decided to start his at dwarf, hoping to spike a different character. Yeah, let's see, going up the tower next. Azura, gonna be pretty free. And I don't even remember what was in the Super Can room because it went by so fast on McBain's side. I think it was King Queen Evelyn. Not the exact boss you want to see there. You'd rather see that boss on the moon because it's a free fight.
Well, let's not forget that, speaking of other fights, we are still looking for. So all the turn-ins that we have left, we have, the Sheila 1 turn-in that we can do right now. We have the Odin spot, which is still out there, and then we have our Ret Tail turn-in. Like, we only have 3 places we can go before we're on the moon already.
So, like in Rhybon's particular case, you do the tower, you set up Sheila 1, you go above, and you bring your hovercraft over to turn in the rat tail, pink tail. If you don't get the pan, you go talk to Sheila because you're right there. But if you get the pan from the rat tail, you go right back down and bonk Yong, and then complete out Sheila, and never have to touch Fabul again. That's what you hope for. Alt gauntlets out of the pool, so we can't wish upon our runners an alt gauntlet at Ogopogo, which is sad, because that's such a fun fight, right?
You and I have very different definitions of what fun is.
Fun for us commentators in chat.
Oh yeah, okay, fun to watch. Yeah, fun to laugh and say, "I'm very happy that I'm not running the seat." Yes.
Yep, Rosa in the back row with that rune ring on again. Rune ring, strong against mages. Azura's a mage. And it's just a matter of playing the waiting game on Rhybon's side, and down goes Azura.
In the meantime, McBain is taking a bit of time to do his grind as well. Now, McBain's grind is going to be much faster than Rhybon's, because remember, Rhybon did it before he had his 10 key items. So it's took a little bit longer to get to the levels that he wanted. That said, mages also take a little bit more experience to get them up to, say, nuke levels, if that's what you really want to shoot for. So it'll be interesting to see when McBain calls it quits in terms of the leveling, how high he wants to get before he's comfortable.
I can definitely see. I think McBain has enough sirens to get Palom to nuke. He's got another 6 left. I think that's enough to get him up to 52. It may have been completely calculated of, yep, if I do it this way, I'm going to get just enough to nuke. We're having the mages is great, but we have not seen Valvalis yet. And if Val is on any spot on the moon besides cave value, most of your party is useless. Whereas on Rhybon's side, just physical, yeah, circ up and wait.
Hey, circ up, call it good. Not that McBain is completely out of it, if that were the case. His edge is doing decent damage and can probably carry you through that. It's not a high HP spot, per se. There was an interesting question in chat, and I think it's worth the discussion. What's the hardest alt gauntlet spot to find? The Masamune altar absolutely is horrible because of, how late it is and where it's located, but you can also get some pretty decent gear. That being said, that's also the only place where you have to fight evil masks and the dragons, and I think it doesn't matter how much you prepare, that's going to be the worst no matter what.
Well, I mean, see, here's the thing. So I'd say it's a toss-up for me between Masamune and Crystal Sword. Because the Crystal Sword, you have Fatal Eye, which has just a single fight itself, a cousin of Plague, as we would say. 25,000 health for that, and you can't weak it, and it will just constantly do counts on you. And the last encounter of that alt gauntlet is the double blue dragon, which is a lot harder than the double red dragon. Because when it's double red dragon, you take out one dragon, then the heat rays come out. Blue dragons don't care. They'll still cast Blizzard regardless if two of them are out there.
So we are now in a pretty amazing foot race here where both Rhybon and McBain have done essentially the same things. Um, although I don't know if I've seen. Let me see. McBain has not done Dwarf Castle, I don't think, and Rhybon has not turned in, which he is doing right now, the Adamant. So yeah, McBain has not done Dwarf Castle. That is where the pass is. But otherwise, these two are just neck and neck, exactly where what you really want to see. There's some memes about talking about the T word that we're not allowed to discuss because that would be horrible, and
What
everyone wants that. I mean, no one wants that.
would this T word be something to do with a tie? I mean, I'm always here for ties.
Shh, shh, you'll summon Scarlet. Don't. Crap, she's here.
I have a hard head. I could take a newspaper or two.
Either way, McBain turns in that rat tail, finds the Earth Crystal. Guess what? That is one of our required objectives. So, our grind set up. We are good to go. Rhybon's going to be right on his tail.
Yeah, Rhybon doing a little bit of shopping there, gets the Moon Veil. I believe picked up some Zeus gauntlets, especially for this party. The extra strength stat. And I don't think at an hour 10, I don't think we're going to see the treasury being raided. It's sad, but what else can we do?
Not happening. Now, there is an interesting point that's being made by Woo Bear in chat. So shout out to you. I'm crediting you because this is a great point. If we happen to find the pan in this Earth Crystal check, or in the Sheila check, for that matter, if we find the pan before we find the Darkness Crystal, then that pass will make no bit of difference because we'll be able to get the Darkness Crystal while we're already up on the moon in the Vanilla Crystal Sword spot, and then we'll have our crystal and we're going straight through. We won't need the pass at all. But if we find the Darkness Crystal first and that pan is up somewhere on the moon, that pass can make quite a bit of difference for Rhybon here in this race where he's done a little bit more looting, so it's always appeared to be, on the straight line race to be a little bit behind, but now could make all the difference and play kind of catch up at this point.
Oh yeah, pass is definitely going to be a make or break in a race. We've got a sparkle here. Is it going to be the Wyvern? Nope. It's just a plague. The difference in parties as well is something an interest to. We've got a full mage party on McBain's side, besides the Edge, which.
So Rhybon turned in Sheila 1, which McBain opted not to do yet. And that was the Darkness Crystal.
Well, I mean, it again, it's one of the things of trying to turn in the pan before you do Sheila 1. It's always a toss-up with that. There's many different ways people route in Sheila. But so I think doing Zot into Baron Basement on McBain's side and then doing Sheila 1, trying to spike the pan beforehand.
Absolutely. I mean, I understand it. Here's what the interesting play is. If the pan is either at the Earth Crystal spot or at the Odin spot, then I think McBain has the advantage. If it's not, if the pan is on the moon, Even though Rhybon is a little bit behind right now, I think uh, the secondary walk uh, would mean that Rhybon would be able to take up the lead. Now, the difference in parties is going to be important as well. They both are rocking with that Tella anchor, but a melee focused party versus a nuke white party, that'll also make for an interesting Z fight. This is going to come down to the wire.
Oh, definitely. And if even if the pan is at like the Odin spot, it still could be fairly close. Yes, Rybon, because both runners will be right there. The only actual difference is that on Rybon's side, he's only got to go through one animation for Sheila versus two on McBain's side. So this is still fairly neck and neck, even if we do find the pan before going to the moon.
I did also see Rhybon doing something that I'm a huge fan of, by the way, but I don't know if I've ever seen anyone do it. Uh, you put your adamant armor on Yang.
It's actually really good for him. It
Yeah,
truly
it really
is.
is.
Just because of how the damage calculation is for Young, it's level and stats. That's it. What does the Adamant Armor give you? A ton of stats.
No, I agree, and I love it. It's just so rare to see, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I love it. I love it." Um, we see a ninja shirt, for our reward going through here. So now we have the Odin check. All right, McBain, this is really an important check here. Now, well, this has been available to us for a while, but I don't think anyone went down and checked what this particular boss was.
Nobody did. Nobody even bothered even looking at it to see if it was a freebie or what they may have to prepare for. And it's Mega Sisters, which is kind of mean here, but we did have mutant knives at the time. I don't know if we had the power to actually at least take out Mindy. That's where a lot of the damage comes from in this spot is Mindy.
Oh, and Tella gets zapped before he can get Berserk off on our edge. That was a little bit rude there, Mindy.
But here's the problem, at least on McBain's side. I think McBain has the cursing on his Tella. You saw how Tella went first there, right? Tella's agility right now is 0. That's bad.
And then the reflect went on Edge, and while Edge is swinging hard, absolutely, we can't zerk him up right at the moment.
So this if McBain doesn't get any more levels on this Tella or doesn't trade out, it could be very interesting Z fight if he doesn't realize that Tella is 0 agility. It just means everyone is RA1, which can be useful in some situations, but not always. Rhybon's about to get his ninja shirt here. Probably not going to equip it because we got the black belt.
Oh, and a reflected virus takes out Rosa right as we had mute arrows ready to roll. Oh, this has not been. I mean, it's very doable, and McBain will get through here. It's just not necessarily a clean fight, and that's on. Thanks, Mindy. Okay.
Oh, you'll love to see it when Mindy takes herself out. Just an arty bow. I mean, we did see a Sid. I mean, Sid and Artie Bow and Artemis Arrows is not bad, but I don't think we walked that out.
Oh, absolutely not. We are ready at this point, and it looks like now McBain is turning in. Sheila 1 will be rewarded with the Darkness Crystal. If you're McBain and you've dodged Dwarf Castle up to this point in time, are you completely dodging it now? Or is that going to be something that still plays in the back door?
I'm still dodging it. If I faded it for this long, I'm probably going by the numbers. And Dwarf Castle is 2 bosses for 1 key item. Where on the moon, I've got 7 chances and 6 bosses. I'm gonna go with the odds. I'm gonna do my objective, the Crystal Sword Altar, and then debate there whether or not I'm gonna go down to the Ribbon Room, Maza Altar, and figure it out from there. There's a less that you have to go down the moon when you don't have the pass, the better. But I don't see doing top down because you have the Crystal Sword Altar to do first. Like, you want to do your objective. Because there's always a chance that it could be a, as we call it, the, what is it? The dirty double?
Yeah. Meanwhile, Rhybon gets his Artemis, nopes out, and will be following McBain up to the moon very, very shortly. Again, the only difference between them, Rhybon has done the Dwarf Castle, has the pass, so, I mean, moon routing can make a big difference here as well.
I mean, definitely. Yeah, I'm not sure what level Palom is at right now. I know he was casting Quakes instead of Nukes, so I mean, if Palom's not at Nuke levels, taking some extra moon bosses definitely get you there.
Well, and I think that's kind of the intention, because not only, here's the thing that's going to happen up on the moon. You go up to the moon and you fight a first boss and you get the Twin Harp. You can't just reset out of that. You have to hang on to it, because what if, the pan is behind the Twin Harp right now? So you're planning on probably having to kill and keep killed a few of these bosses up here where you can't just reset out of them. So you're planning on having to get a little bit more experience, and you want just enough experience for Palom to have Nuke at that point in time. There's Arcane up on the moon. Sorry, buddy, you're probably a bit late.
Yeah, although on McBain's side, may trade out Tella for this Kane to stick the curse ring on. But nope. Hopefully McBain realizes zero agility. I mean, what bosses would still be mean here on the moon that we haven't seen yet? I'm honestly trying to think. Evil Wall comes to mind.
Evil Wall would be rough. We haven't seen Wyvern yet.
We've got curse rings though, so we've at least got the party set up, and we still have Starveil, so not so much a nasty fight as just annoying.
Yeah. We do have Val, Kenyatzo, D-Lunars would be kind of rough, depending on the spot.
Again, I counter with it. We've got Starveils and Wall. Piggy strats. Not piggy strats. Toad strats.
Toad strats, yes, but you don't want to have to spend that kind of time on a boss at this point in time.
That's true.
You're an hour 21, and I think at this point in time, you've cleared out everything else on the blue planet. You're starting to get, as a racer, right? You're starting to get a little bit nervous. The clock is ticking. You haven't seen a dot done yet. You got to know that. I mean, both of these runners know it's bracket stages. Everyone's fantastic at this point in time. You really can't afford to spend any more time than you possibly have to for a lot of these bosses. So a long fight like that would really kind of ramp up the pressure.
I can definitely see the argument there. But, it's one of those things like you still don't have the key item as well. So it's like you're going to look at a spot and reset out of it. I'd look at the spot, see what boss is there. Probably do it since I've already got end game levels. And then afterwards reset out of it.
Alright, so McBain grabbed one random encounter, or one Siren's worth of, wanted to get just a little bit more experience. Meanwhile, Rhybon has walked past him during that, and we are doing the Crystal Sword Altar first. That is the objective. So just on a lark, you want to do this. And Odin, hey, we have a Thunderclaw, don't we?
We have Thunderclaw. We have some arrows. We have Blitz. We've got options for this Odin here. But Young with quad 9. Yeah, this spot's quickly
Yeah,
high.
this is gonna be, and I mean, Young can take a punch, so you just have to get linked up on the others, and yeah, that was nice and fast.
Is that 3 or 4 hits from Young at quad 9s? Yeah.
Yeah, Yang doing work. And that is our Crystal Sword Altar. That is objective number 5, and it's the Twin Harp.
I don't gamble on this.
No,
I don't.
No, not at all.
Now, if I've gone through the like the Rhybon Room, Masa, and White Spear, I debate about it because Twin Harp is a K-main location. K-main locations have just a slight bit higher weighting to key items versus the K-summon and K-moon flags. And it does not hit that hard here for the I can never pronounce what he does.
Zen Setsukin or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does not hit particularly hard on that one. I mean, he punches quite hard, but his ability is not all that great. Oh, hi Val. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I mean, I think on at least Rhybon's side, I think we still have some extra darts. Maybe I definitely nope. It's just a Bacchus and pop a heal or a blink there when necessary.
Yeah, Zerk up and just let it roll at this point in time. Now, McBain's going to have a kind of a tough time here because I think the magic defense here really does skyrocket during this. So you're going to have a hard time getting. There
is only one moon location that does not have perfect magic defense, and that is the Bahamut spot. Every other moon location, Val has perfect magic defense. Well, she's in Tornado. So it's a hope on McBain's side that this Val is not required. As yes, he can still get through it, but how much time are you willing to spend on it? Probably to see here that this nuke will miss and be like, nope.
Yeah,
I'm going to go elsewhere.
Out. So, I mean, I think that's a heads-up play by McBain because you don't want to spend your time doing that if it's going to be detrimental to you. So I like the play, and at that point you're just praying based on the party setup. Hi, Evil Wall. How are you?
Well, I mean, not a horrible spot for Evil Wall. And we're just gonna microwave it, cast some whites, and it'll crumble soon.
No, this is a relatively low HP spot, honestly, for most of the moon bosses.
Yeah, Val there with the 42,000, I want to say. Yeah, McBain's still at the 0 agility Tella. Hopefully he realizes.
Yeah, that'll make for an interesting Z fight. And Rhybon through Lunar in a Spoon. Okay, so not required. McBain not punished.
Yeah, that spoon gonna be used as a quickly do some quad 9 damage to anything situation. Would be great for this Evil Wall here on Rhybon's side. It's gonna be Bacchus, Dart, Berserk. That's my guess.
All right, I don't want to jinx it, so I want to see what McBain gets from here first before I say what I'm about to say, because otherwise I don't want to. Okay, Dragon Whip. So if the pan is like behind the Twin Harp or behind Luca Key that's still up here on the moon, for example, that's going to put the pressure on McBain to make a decision. Does he try to gut it out past that Val at all, or does he abandon it completely and go down back to the blue planet?
Yeah, it's one of those really hard things to think about because it's 2 key items there, or possibly 2 key items. It's such a hard thing.
Yeah, it's not an easy decision, especially when you're in the race, in the moment, um, adrenaline kind of flooding your system. Well, there's a nice easy fight for us. Water
Yeah,
help.
just hold A. Hold A and you get through the fight. Yep, Rhybon
We
resets out of the evil wall there. Wants his Bacchus back. Got to be sparing with that wine, you know. At least in this fight, since we do have the S quarter, nothing really sells much. You can't buy as many Bacchus as you used to. So, wanting to get the Bacchus back after each fight, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do.
recycled wine is the best wine.
And McBain gets through the water hag here. We'll see what we get. Just a rune axe.
Womp. Okay, so decision time. We have Murasame Altar, and we have uh, K value that we don't know. And McBain, this is kind of what we worried about. McBain is going to commit to taking on this vow. It's I think this is going to be the roughest part for McBain right here because we know there's nothing necessarily back here. Um, this is going to be rough because this is going to give Rhybon the advantage that he needs to really pass up and put some distance between him and McBain.
Yeah, definitely. I can't hate this play as, again, 2 key items. You don't want, the Pan or Luca, which leads to Pan, to be all the way down here at the bottom of the moon, especially when it's like a last location like that. So it's gonna take a little bit to get through this, but I mean, at least from his perspective, it's the right play, and I can completely understand it, and I can stand behind it.
Oh, absolutely. There's a logic to it, and you knowing what we know makes it feel bad. But in his position, absolutely, I think it's a play you have to make at that point. So complete respect for it, and just kind of knowing that this is what you have to do. And you could see him setting up his equipment ahead of time that says, "Okay, we got to get through this."
Making sure that Edge has all the highest attack power, has the Adamant, has everything you can possibly do to get you as many multipliers to get chunked through this HP here. And we get to see who here is the top of the Murasame altar. And it's the elements.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone's we're too terribly worried about this particular one.
Now, the only fight that we would be somewhat worried about would be the Wyvern, but both our runners have Cursed Ring. You can easily take out Wyvern. It's when it sneaks up on you, that's the problem. Surprise Wyvern. Rosa on McBain's side, I believe, is fully stoned right now, so it's a... oh! And there's the Pan at the Murasame altar.
Yep, there's the Pan, and McBain resets out and going for it again. Just trying to get a little bit better luck. Oh, it feels bad, McBain. If you're watching this back at any point in time, we know, we understand, it. We just hurt for you.
I mean, really, the only other thing that I can think of that may be, a different play that you might think of, saves coming, Murasame and K value, and then coming back here instead of going back to Earth. Like, I can see that as a possible play, especially not having the pass. But, committing to,
say,
I'm going to get through this. The commitment.
Absolutely. I have to respect the commitment and knowing that, hey, this is what I feel like I got to do. And that's, I mean, we knew setting up with a mage party like that, leaning on Palom quite a bit. I mean, that was the possibility. A bad Val spot can absolutely be a gigantic roadblock for those sorts of parties, and that's kind of the risk you take sometimes. But how about Rhybon with that late Yang edition? I mean, that was the last addition to his party, and Yang's been lifting weights and carrying this party in the back half, hasn't he?
Yeah, so I mean, it's no secret. I've done a bunch of practice racing with Rhybon and a few other people, and just talk with Rhybon. I know Rhybon is more of a Zerker party person in a general sense. So seeing the young there and taking him, you know, it was something that he's used to. What's comfortable is always the thing. It's like loot till you're comfortable. Try and get a comfortable party that you know what to do with. McBain may be completely comfortable with mages. And sometimes it, as we can say, it doesn't pan out. Well, let's see what Sheila 2 gives us. You know, it could be the Luca key, could be... Who knows what it could be.
Yeah, Luca key, that makes a whole lot of sense. So that's the last of our key items. We're not going to do the Luca key, and we also got to skip K value, which we know at this point in time is going to be junk.
Yep. But we have the pass though, and what's right across the ocean there on Rhybon's side? There's something over here.
Yeah, that's just a quick hop, skip, and a jump over the pond here. And we're already here. This pass, of course, for those of you who played Final Fantasy II when you were a child, took us back to see a dancing scene, which when I was a kid, I didn't fully understand the context of having lots of girls dancing in front of me and what that was supposed to represent. As we've grown older and decided wanted to do something fun with the past, we decided, hey, this is our key, this is our back door to go right to Zeromus, and we have these Z flags in chat. Tybalt, would you like to do the honors for this one?
Yeah, I could do the honors for this one because it's getting to be nap time. Now, with the final boss, we may randomize the characters you get, where they are, the bosses in all the different locations, even though there was a bunch of vanilla. We don't move Zeromus, even though it would be funny for him to be like Miss Cave. Just throwing that out there, or even a trap chest. What we do instead is we change who he is. So, the question we always ask, whose butt are we gonna kick tonight? And the obligatory, is the butt cute? Does it have a butt?
I think doesn't have a butt is my favorite, because there's many. I think there's in excess of more than 500 different sprites that it could be, and very many of them don't have a butt at all.
Oh, and is it somebody's favorite? I mean, I've had my favorite come up a few times. I've seen it before, but I don't remember where it's from.
I don't remember where it's from, but it's got enough of an anime vibe that I'm comfortable saying that the butt is at least cute.
And it does have a butt. Counter-nuke going on Young, but Young's got the adamant armor, so it doesn't really matter. Best target. McBain, not sure if... Oh, McBain did get through that valve finally. Went up, is taking on the Marsami altar here. Gonna be getting the pan here shortly. Now it's just a matter of waiting on Rhybon's side. Wait to, cast a Cure 4, wait to Zerk up when necessary, and action economy is what we like to call it. Not trying to put in extra inputs when not really necessary. It's a hard skill to learn, but once you learn it, it can elevate your gameplay.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, McBain gets through, finds the pan, and says, "Uh-oh, I know what that means."
Yeah, if my opponent went top down, I'm super behind. I'm hoping for the pass at Sheila 2. I'm hoping for the pass at Sheila 2. But as us as viewers, we know the pass is a dwarf. And we've got to chew through all of Zeromus's health here on Rhybon's side, which is no small chunk of change.
Absolutely not. Especially, I mean, we have an adamant armor, which is fantastic, but otherwise we have like a longsword and a mute dagger with edge and just a thunder claw, so didn't even stop and pick up any cat claws. So it's been, and that's kind of the nature of these bracket flags, is you're not going to have the best gear in the game. You kind of have to make do with whatever you find.
Yeah, Rhybon casting white on Rosa to reflect it back at Zeromus, because doesn't want to take the counter weak that he will do. Zeromus counters nuke with, or anything with nuke, and white with weak. So getting the extra damage out there with Rosa. It's going to be a little dicey here and there, but I think with the HP totals on this party, this is a freezy fight. Relatively.
Yeah, waited patiently for that black hole before you cast Cure 4 in order to make sure your Rosa got that healing up. And there's rocks.
Yep, we're on rocks. Again, do we still have the dart, or did we use it already? I think we used it. 2 mediocre casts. Going for the swag white kill. Will it happen? Aww. But there's a snap crackle boom. Gelimus is down on Rhybon's side with an official time of 1:39:44. GG's to Rhybon. We'll see if we can get him in here for an interview with McBain right behind, getting the crystal, gonna be going right back up to the moon and making a long walk down. And I just heard a little doot in my ear that they believe we're joined by Rhybon. GG's.
Hey, thank you very much. What a fun little feat.
Yeah, so take us through a little bit. You had the Rydia, with Sylph doing great things for you, and then you saw Yang at Dwarf Castle and you took him. Was there any thought of keeping her at all, or?
I was wondering if that was going to be a mistake. We did have pretty good gear for Rydia early on. Early Tiara, Gaia shirt. The Sylph was youthful, of course, and got me through quite a bit in the early game. I was very fortunate to have checked Public Treasury this time around, because I was thinking, I loot too much. Maybe I shouldn't do Public Treasury, but paid off today. But at that point, I had the hook route. I looked at Evelyn. There were sirens. I picked up 12. I had found one earlier, so I had 13. If I wanted to turn Rydia into a youthful endgame character, I would have to do closer to 30 sirens, or 27 sirens by that point. And I saw that Yang, and I am a huge Yang fan. Yang is, in my opinion, the second best character on this flag set, at least in terms of melee, right behind Edge. Better than Kayn, better than Sid, and unfortunately that's pretty much it. Better than the Spoonword, in my opinion, too. So when I saw that Yang, I'm like, I'm going Zerkers. Chances are there's Bacchus somewhere in the seas. And I have almost all the shouts available to me with the exception of the moon, and I have to go to the moon anyway, so I'm probably going to find Bacchus at some point. I feel like it's a pretty safe gamble, and I can actually take these 12 or 13 siren that I have and grind to endgame levels immediately. As Possum Morpheus says, and many other very good players, grind early, grind often. Just make the game as easy as possible, as quickly as possible, so that you don't really have any issues later on. So, took the Yang, was happy to give him the Adamant armor as well. Was very happy to have a seed where I could show Yang is a very useful character, because when we talk about reject percent on Free Enterprise, he's often one of the characters in there, but I think he just gets too much poop for how good he actually is.
Well, and we saw how much I'm sorry. We saw
Yep.
how much work he ended up doing. Like Thunderclaw Yang on Odin was your heavy lifter, and you ended up putting your adamant armor on him, so he was your main source of damage there after a while. So it ended up that the character that was, as you said it, part of reject percent really carried the day at the end of it.
Mhm. Yeah. Like I said, huge Yang fan. I would run 2 Yangs if I could. Unfortunately, I didn't happen to find a second one. And I mean, especially on this particular flag set on brackets where you don't really get the best gear with T-Pro on and the inability to buy very good gear. It's great to have a melee that doesn't need a whole lot to get going. He just needs a few eggs. He just needs a few levels. You throw a headband on him, a strength ring, maybe a karate shirt. He's good to go. I mean, as a very famous person once said, quantity had a quality of its own, and he sure had a lot of HP. And that quantity of HP is sufficient enough that he may not have a lot of defense compared to other characters, but that is that's a very beefy boy.
Yeah, even with the looting that you did, because you looted Watery Pass and you found Full Moon in there, you found some nice J items that helped out in the early game. McBain only looted Public Treasury and was gone.
Mm.
So I mean, both of you through most of the seed until you got underground, were you were trailing like 3 seconds, maybe 4 seconds behind him.
Mm.
And then when he got to
Interesting.
underground is where there was really a big divergence.
Mhm.
He went straight to top to tower, and you went to dwarf. And
Yeah, I
then
felt-
cross paths, but taking the Yong
Mhm.
with knowing the rest of the seed and the Val being at Ribbon Room.
Yeah.
What'd you think about that fight?
I mean, pretty simple. Unfortunately, I wasn't doing a Crystal Sword Cecil damage with a Thunderclaw Yang and a Longsword Mute Knife Edge, but 4K around is okay. It was extremely safe, just with a Rosa that could sit back and blink, Yang and Edge doing the work. I'm sure it would have been a much more difficult fight with mages if I had kept that Rydia. She probably wouldn't have been useful at all because that cane we found up on the moon just came far too late. So, yeah, again, very happy about that Yang pickup, and that was one of the reasons I went to Dwarf Castle immediately upon hitting Underground. I knew I had those 12-13 sirens. I knew I wanted to grind sooner rather than later, but I wasn't entirely certain about my party, so I had one character check left, which was Dwarf Castle.
Fair enough. Anything else for Rhybon here, Vitasia?
No, I mean, just congratulations on your win. GG's. This is game 1 of 2, and it was a fantastic kind of back and forth and interesting clash of styles, I think, between you and McBain. When's the next race so we can let everyone know in chat?
I wish I could say, but we haven't actually scheduled it yet. I'm going to be talking with McBain shortly after this, and we'll get it on the calendar. But absolutely GG's to McBain. He's a fantastic player, has kicked my butt on the ladder many, many times. So I came into this matchup very worried, and would not be the least bit surprised if it goes to a game 3 sometime this weekend, most likely. So if you liked what you saw, I mean, I'm sure there'll be more opportunities to watch in the future. But again, GG's McBain, and do want to say, of course, thank you, Arusta, for pressing the buttons. Hopefully we kept you busy. Psychonaut for rolling this fantastic seed where we had an opportunity to show off Yang and his power in this particular bracket flag set. And of course, thank you, Vitasia, and thank you, Tybalt, for the comp. I look forward to watching this one back.
Oh, it was good, and GG's once again.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Take it easy, guys.
Well, that was Rhybon, one of our runners here, and GG's once again to him. Make sure you go ahead and follow him. Well, McBain is currently in the Zeromus fight. Want to do one final shout out to our restreamer Psychonaut, our tracker Arusta, and my co-commentator Vitasia. Go ahead and follow those wonderful people.
Oh, and I will return the shout out back to you as well, Tybalt. It's always a pleasure working with you as we're sitting here talking. And McBain finishes, relatively close, 146.55. GG's to McBain.
I mean, when you're doing reflex shots, you only have to go through half the amount of HP. And we'll see if we can get McBain in here for an interview. As the Snap Crackle Boom goes through. This hurt. GG's McBain.
Thank you.
So that, what are your thoughts on this particular seed? How do you think you did?
I think the first half went well. I mean, I felt pretty good going underground. And then the frame march was kind of a mess. Then I recovered a little, and then there was Val in Rhybon Room. That kind of sealed the deal, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch this back, both you and Rhybon were neck and neck all the way through the seed, even getting underground relatively close to each other. And that's where the divergence primarily happened, was you went to Tower, he went to Dwarf Castle. And that's where things kind of really diverged. And really, I think the turning point was the Val at Rhybon Room.
Oh yeah, I definitely didn't feel good at that point. I was like, oh, I'm done. There's no way Rhybon is not like on his way right now to the...
Did you got anything for McBain here?
No, I mean, I think you'll be interested because this was kind of an interesting back and forth between styles. Your early game was just, to be perfectly honest, superb. It takes a lot of experience, especially in this flag set, to know how much looting is too much, and you did almost nothing and still managed to kind of keep a nice edge through most of the early game. So absolutely kudos to you on that early game. It felt like you had everything under control through to the point where we got to the underworld, and then, as you said, things kind of fell off a little bit there when you started taking on the Fame Arch bosses.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I could do the overworld really early. I mean, I find the Sill, the Tiara, and then there was a mute knife in the shop at Fabul. I was like, I'm set.
I did want to ask, because the one location on the blue planet that you abandoned was Dwarf Castle. Is that a common play that you make, where it's like, hey, if I don't have to go here, I'm going to try to avoid it, just because of the two bosses in the cutscene, or what happened? What was your thinking there?
Well, I was okay with my party at that point, but it's more because I saw Ashura in the tower with the mute knife. And then it gave me the pink tail, so I was like, oh, I can make Pal live. So this is fine. I'm just gonna go to the Fame Arch right now because I want to do my objective first. It should be okay, and well, it wasn't that okay. And then got the rat tail, so I said, this is faster. I'm gonna go do the rat tail. Then I got the Earth Crystal, and then I saw Gold Bed. Like, no, at that point, I was like, no, I'm not going there.
I mean, heck of a race, I will say that. And again, I would definitely watch it back. It was one heck of a race to watch and commentate.
Thank you. I look forward to watching it again.
I don't have anything else for McBain here. Do you have anything?
No, just once again, GG's McBain. No shame to the game in this one. You ran a fantastic race. Just Rando's gonna rando sometimes, and you hit a speed bump there with that Val. Otherwise, it was just an amazing close race between the two of you. Looking forward to the follow-up.
Thank you.
Well, Vitasia, it's that time again. But I don't think we're done with Free Enterprise just yet, are we?
Absolutely not. There's more Free Enterprise. In fact, if everyone sticks around, we're going to head over to Free Enterprise 2 for Infinius versus Rex Banner, who's in the middle of their race. Remember, as we go over and raid, please do not spoil the results of this race. We want to make sure that everyone who has the opportunity can come back and watch this through completely on themselves. Otherwise, do want to give one last shout out to all the folks behind the scenes. We have Arusta with the tracking and Psychonaut with the restream, as well as, of course, my co-commentator Tibble. Always a pleasure working with you.
I'll shoot that right back at you, Vitasia. I mean, again, we always say this, no spoilers. We have a closet full of newspapers. They do hurt. So, well, I'll see you for the next race. We've got more races. I'll explain more of the races that are coming in the following week.
Take care, everyone.